So I've joined the EPRS quite recently. I said I'll be nearly a year here now. As was said, I have a couple of previous lives. So in my first career, it is true, I was trained as an educator and spent even time teaching in schools and also at university, training teachers. And then I went on to a completely different career as a translator, and now I'm back into the field of education. So I think actually, even when I look at myself, I think I'm an interesting example of how people go in and out of different parts of their lives and reinvent themselves, which is what we've heard here as well. And listening with the ears of an educator, I sort of caught one tension, which I would like to draw out. And this is sort of the tension between developing the young person or whoever is being educated for the labor market, so the worker in us, and then our intellectual capacity. So when we think of higher education, we must remember that our universities come from a humanist background. You know, this is where universities come from. And the humanist background, as an ideal, has the all-round intellectual, not the narrow-minded specialist. And I see this tension between wanting to develop the skills that industry or business might be requiring and maintaining this all-roundedness in our personality. And as an educator, actually, I think the two aren't in conflict. When I think of myself as I was as a teacher and even teaching at university, my efforts were actually to do both. I wanted my students at secondary school and my students at university to be prepared for the world of work, but I also wanted them to be active citizens, and I wanted them to find out who they were, what their potentials were, and to develop them. And I tried to do that every day in my daily work. I wasn't thinking of, now I'm doing this and now I'm doing that. But as I planned my activities, I did think I need to take care of all three things. So there is a certain self-consciousness about what an educator does, which seeks to address the three elements. And sometimes we speak about education as though we have to put all our finances in doing one because this is very important at the cost of the rest. But in actual fact, they can come in hand. We don't have to ignore the other two elements in order to focus on the one. And you know, when I read in the documents, in the reports, parliamentary reports, there is a lot of mention of entrepreneurship and building a spirit of entrepreneurship and educating young people for an entrepreneurial spirit. And I think, well, actually, if you want to do that, you can actually be addressing all three aspects, because someone with an entrepreneurial attitude towards life could be very well adjusted to the labor market. But if you are going to be proactive in your approach towards life, and if you are going to be, have initiative, that is also good for your personal life. And as a citizen, that is the sort of citizen we want. We want an engaged citizen who can think for herself or himself and who is proactive about their priorities. And maybe it is not so surprising that the business community is very much in close contact with the political community, because they do have this proactive approach towards life. And this is actually good for all of us. not just the business community. So I think, we do live this dichotomy. I can see why this tension exists. It would be as if I lived in another planet if I didn't acknowledge that actually these tensions are very real. But there is also another side to the picture, that we don't need to be so single-minded in our approach. I don't think I want to say much more because it is 7:20 and I want to leave Marcus some time to speak, and I would like to hear also the audience. So,